Hi, thanks everyone for turning up and joining us on this webinar. My name's Chris Lee. I'm currently partner director with MPH, and we're a high-value distributor in the mixed and assisted reality space, which we'll be talking about and touching upon today. MPH very much the foremost and the original distribution of this technology within the UK market. We operate globally, so we're very happy to discuss other UK rollouts, global rollouts, EMEA rollouts, anything along those lines. So very much getting in touch with us after the webinar. I'll introduce the two presenters with me, both very valid and valuable members of the MPH team. We've got Precious John, who is an absolute expert on the assisted reality side of things and all the software platforms that go alongside that. And we also have Jamie Clapham, who is an absolute expert when it comes to anything regarding technology such as Magic Leap 2, essentially, and also HoloLens, Microsoft HoloLens, and that remote collaborative space as well. What we're doing and what we're focusing on today is the applications that we believe we can look at within the automotive industry and the best fit that is we think this technology can bring to that space. Now, clearly, there's so many different examples of what we can go through, and we won't be able to cover all of those today. So if there are specific use cases that you want to talk over that we haven't potentially mentioned during this webinar, then feel free, and we're always happy to jump on an exploratory call to discuss workflow with you. So what we're going to do over the next sort of 30, 40 minutes is look at two key areas. One is the use of mixed reality within the automotive industry, which brings a set of benefits to remote collaboration. Design essentially is a huge part of that process as well. But Jamie will be expanding a little bit on that. I'm pretty sure I'm going to learn quite a lot during this webinar as well. And then we'll do a little bit of a deep dive on assisted reality and the potential software workflow that could be used within automotive and has been used within automotive. I know both Jamie and Precious will be looking at potential opportunities that you can look at, but we'll also be drawing on concrete examples of what has actually been achieved and is being used currently within the automotive industry as well. So rather than me just sort of blathering away, let's move on to Jamie. And Jamie, if you could just do a quick intro as to what you'll be talking about, maybe just 30 seconds about yourself as well. That'd be fantastic. Thank you, Jamie.
Perfect. So yeah, like Chris said, my name's Jamie. I'm the mixed reality specialist and one of the pre-sales team along with Precious. So yeah, we'll talk about automotive. I have also stuck some other little use cases where you can use software as well. So if there are any other use cases you're looking at, you can get a flavor and an idea for that. I did previously sit in the HoloLens team for a year and a half. So mixed reality, I know quite well. I've kind of seen it through for the last 2-3 years now. So it's rapidly building.
You were at the coalface, Jamie, actually at Microsoft, were you, when they
Yes.
were sort of developing the HoloLens platform? And well, that's good to know. So you pretty much know that from cradle to grave, as it were.
Yeah. I don't know if that's sins of a past life or or if it's something that's gone well, but we know the Microsoft team very well. I know the Microsoft products very well, and then like Chris said as well, Magic Leap 2 obviously just coming out as well. And that's now on there.
Yeah, just to jump in on Magic Leap, Jamie. One of the things I forgot to mention is we are the sole European distributor of Magic Leap. If you need to talk and discuss Magic Leap, purchase Magic Leap, then you're talking to the right people. So I just thought I'd make that point fairly clear. We've also got a vested interest, obviously, in talking about Magic Leap. But you're going to expand on this, but they are very much sort of industry leaders right now, as far as we're concerned, and the market's concerned in this technology, aren't they, Jamie?
Yeah, very much so, and I will touch a little bit upon that in the first couple of slides.
Okay, no problem. I'll shut up for a bit, Jamie. Sorry, I keep interrupting.
No worries. Cool. So I'll just share my screen. Can everyone see that one?
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Perfect. Cool. So, like we said, Magic Leap 2 in automotive. I've tried to keep this to Magic Leap 2 specifically, just because it is more of a recent device. So there's less to know about it, and it's newer to the market. Just touching really briefly on the device itself, you'll see the main three headings. So we'll touch on best in class device. What this means is in the market at the moment within immersive technology, specifically mixed reality, Magic Leap 2 is a new breakthrough device. It has features such as the optics that you can see mentioned that are groundbreaking. Nobody else has done it. And what we mean by this is it has a global and segmented dimming feature, which means you can use, even though it's mixed reality, you can use it outside. So if anybody's used the HoloLens before or any other mixed reality,
you can actually go out into bright sunlight and use it in that environment as well, or in a bright office space, for example, Jamie.
correct. The dimming will block out 99.7% of any transmissible light. So if you're somewhere in Dubai or something and you want to use it outside, it should be pretty easy to use.
And that wasn't previously available with HoloLens. Am I right in saying that? Okay,
Correct.
So that's a real step forward, isn't it, in this technology?
Yeah, so there were ways around it. You could buy tint shields, for example, for the HoloLens. And you could also buy sort of little screens that you could put in front of the HoloLens. But to have that power and that capability within the device itself is the only device that has that at the moment. Transforming enterprise. So this one might stand out to a lot of people, especially within businesses and enterprises. Magic Leap 2 is built for enterprise. So they have built it for enterprise, but also other areas, but they've specifically focused on enterprise for this. So what I mean by that is that the whole design of the software and the capabilities is customizable. So this could be how, like it says, the UX could look, how you upload data, the privacy, the cloud networks, however you want to manage the device, it is all customizable.
And just explain what UX is, Jamie.
Yeah, so this is for any user-facing sort of interactions. So the whole, as you log on to a device, for example, the whole design of the device can be tailored to who's using it. So if somebody needs specific applications, you can put it into what we call kiosk mode, and they can only have access to that sort of one specific application. Or they can have access to a multitude of applications. It really depends on who the user is, but that's all customizable.
So essentially, we can do a fully bespoke workflow and work, I mentioned earlier cradle to grave, but very much we can do, the original exploratory discussion about, the correct technology, etc., but then work with any potential customer to make that as bespoke as they need it for their particular environment. Am I right?
Absolutely correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
And you'll see on there as well, it says seamless device management. And this is because the Magic Leap 2 is Android based. So that allows it to be on most, if not all, MDM platforms. I think they're still working on Intune. We're still working to try and get that to be fully usable, but it is coming. But it will use any other MDM platform.
Got it.
And then lastly, obviously empowering the ecosystem. Magic Leap 2 does work with obviously developers, enterprises, anything like that for the ease of use. So Chris, going back to what you were just saying then about making it fully customizable for customers, that is what Magic Leap 2 have strived to do with this device.
And it's developing almost daily, isn't it, Jamie? With
Correct.
The amount of software platforms, third parties that are getting involved, and so it's very much a sort of happening project right now. I mean, there's already a big infrastructure that's in place, but that grows sort of weekly, monthly, and it essentially what I'm trying to get at, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jamie, that if you sort of invest in the Magic Leap 2 infrastructure now, it's only going to get better as you move forward over the sort of months and years that you're using this particular technology.
Yeah, That's right. And when you look at the mixed reality market as a whole, it's still a very new market. So the HoloLens, yes, it's been out for 4 years now, but in terms of any device, 4 years is not long at all. Magic Leap 2 has been out for now 4 to 6 months.
Yep.
So it is very new. People are still developing on it. So yeah, jumping in now is kind of the best time to jump on that bandwagon, if you will.
It's a huge improvement over the original, isn't it?
Correct. So it is 8 times more powerful than the HoloLens. The field of view has now been upgraded by 50%,
Wow.
and it is also 100% lighter. It weighs 260 grams as a mixed reality headset. It's pretty impressive.
Why is lightness important, Jamie? Is it because you can use it for longer periods without any sort of strain? I mean, how does that affect the user?
Correct. So if we take kind of a massive step back and go back to HoloLens 1, if anybody ever used a HoloLens 1, it was very front heavy because that's where the compute power was, that's where the glass was. And after about 30 minutes of using it, you felt your neck kind of going down and you end up looking at the floor. HoloLens then corrected that with the HoloLens 2 and made the weight more in the middle above your ears so you could use it for a little bit longer. Magic Leap have just done away with the weight, which is always helpful. So you can use it for a lot longer. It fits more comfortable. You end up forgetting it's actually on your head. So it's just an ease of use.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jamie.
Perfect. So I'll cover 3 main use cases for this, for specifically automotive. The 3 main use cases for Magic Leap. As you can see, there's design and review, task management and guidance, and also remote expertise. And then there'll be a few more in there that I might touch on here and there if needed.
Right.
So just going into designing and review, as we said, obviously Magic Leap 2 is a pretty brand new device. So the way I'll do this is I'll touch on the software specific to the use case, just to make it a bit easier, makes it a little bit easier to understand.
Perfect.
So Sphere is not to be mistaken. It is Holo-1. They have recently changed their names. So Holo-1 is probably a more of a name that everyone recognizes more than Sphere. But Sphere is now on Magic Leap 2. It's fully integrated into Magic Leap 2. They are still developing on it and still adding features that I think are going up until sort of winter time this year, I believe. So they're constantly working on it, constantly improving things. Obviously, as you can see on the left, I've just put some nice little bullet points for everyone to kind of glance over. But essentially what Sphere is, it is a 4-in-1 app that will have remote assist, it has guided task management, it has 3D collaboration, and it also has kind of that offline piece where you can work on anything you want. So as a design and review collaboration tool, Sphere is up there with the very best. It's very simple from a user point of view to be able to upload those 3D models, be able to get any 3D models you want into your view pretty quickly. And like you can see in the photo, even though you're in a 3D collaboration, you can still remotely call people in. So it's a nice, easy, roundabout piece of software to use, especially in enterprise and automotive. Obviously, what you wouldn't see with this one is it being used more in the production line work, for example. If you're just wanting the guides and task management, potentially. But where you'd see this is the design and review teams, the R&D teams, even potentially the sales teams talking to customers. If customers can't travel from far and wide to opposite ends of the country if needed, or different countries, then it's easy enough to just ship out a headset and you can all join in one space and look at exactly what's needed to be looked at.
Jamie, just on Sphere as a software platform, are we able to offer sample licenses, for example, so that people can explore it and work out whether it's the right software for them? And are we able to scale with organizations and provide software and, potentially additional licenses as they grow with the technology? Is that something that we can work with the client with?
Correct. So we do have Sphere in-house. So we can provide Sphere, and I believe we do have a demo sort of license pool that we can access if needed. Obviously, it's very much a busy piece of software, so it's a kind of one of those first come first serve pieces of software. But we do have licenses. It is scalable. we can sell it, we can do everything with Sphere.
So that's a real value add that we can offer to an organisation,
Correct.
which is make sure they fully understand before they commit to a full software license rollout. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. And even during the demos as well, you'll obviously have us and our teams in house as well to help with any questions or any demos, or if something's not working correctly or not as it should, then we can help out with that as well.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Cool. And then on the bottom left as well, you'll see, obviously, as well as automotive, you do have the manufacturing industry, again, going back to that guides and task management, but also that 3D collaboration, and then consulting and sales. So again, like I said, if you've got customers across the globe in different countries, then it's far easier to ship out a headset than it is to get someone on a plane for a specific day to fly them out. And it's a lot cheaper as well. So all of these softwares we've taken into account the cost and obviously the reduction in costs and everything like that.
But you could potentially have a large client, let's say, for the sake of argument, in Australia, for example, that was looking to buy into the process that you've created, and ultimately the manufacturing side of things, and you could ship the headset out and actually go through it with them remotely, without having a whole team traveling out there or anything like that. So
correct, yeah.
Huge carbon footprint saving, huge time saving, and a huge cost saving. Am I right in saying that, Jamie?
100%, yeah. So one of the ones we've been working on, obviously won't name names or anything, but they build within Wales, but some of their investors and some of the people they will sell to are all the way over in Singapore. Now, obviously, Wales to Singapore is a pretty long flight for one or two people just to get on to see one specific build. So what we're looking at is, and what they've tested and they're currently trialing, is using this to just be able to send out the headsets. Everyone can meet around this one piece of equipment, and they can walk through it in person, just to save time and costs.
And we're able to facilitate orders for headsets into Singapore, for example, but we can do that globally as a business. So, yeah, thanks, Jamie.
Yep. Cool. So moving on to task management and guidance. We are working with a company called frontline.io. Again, kind of like Sphere, kind of like an all-in-one piece of software, which makes it a lot easier for anybody who's deploying it if they think halfway through, oh, actually, we've deployed doing design and review, but actually we want to go now into task management and guidance. Sphere and Frontline provide both of those as an option. So it's also nice that you can go through that way. Now, Sphere and Frontline are somewhat similar. However, Frontline.io's task management and guidance is up there with the best on mixed reality. Again, both of these, I should have mentioned in the Sphere one as well, that both of these do work on Magic Leap and HoloLens themselves. So you can interchange devices. Holo One and Sphere will be able to actually talk between devices very soon. They're still working on that, but it is definitely coming. Frontline.io leverages a lot of digital twins. So what we mean by digital twin is just a digital version of your physical assets. So whether it is a car for automotive or a large piece of machinery, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but a large piece of machinery, you can scan that as a digital twin.
A robotic arm, you can,
It could be anything, absolutely anything. Frontline.io leverages massive digital twin technology and will seamlessly put that into your mixed reality view.
Let me just stop you there, because this is a critical point, Jamie, the idea of digital twins and how it can sort of be used with remote collaboration. So just for the benefit of an idiot like me, for example, just explain in really simple layman's terms what exactly a digital twin will enable you to do and how it's sort of constructed and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, so we'll take the example of the one I was using before about Wales and Singapore. So the team over in Wales that are actually building and manufacturing the products will be able to scan that product and have it as a 3D model. They can look at that on a laptop, on a headset, however they want. And a lot of companies will already have these as CAD files before they even start production. So especially in automotive, a 3D design team will have already created that car. as a 3D model to start off with before building it. So it's the same technology as that, but what it will allow you to do is be able to have that physical asset in a 3D world, and anybody can then come and view it that you like. So it will be like having the Singapore team in Wales being able to view it in real time.
So essentially, your team that developed, for example, the shock and the suspension system on our car may be based in Italy, for example. You might have a team in Poland that is responsible for the seating and the interior car entertainment system and that sort of thing, and everyone can be using the same digital twin and be looking and working together on that as if they were in the same environment.
Correct.
Okay, fantastic. Sorry, I'm interrupting. Let's
Absolutely fine.
Move on. But I just wanted to stop on the digital twin side of things because it is so critically important. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and it's definitely a word, if you're looking in the space, that you see thrown around a lot. Digital twin is on most, if not all, things that are about mixed reality or assisted reality or VR. It's everywhere. Just quickly touching on the end of frontline.io really quickly. As you can see on the left, it's a build once, use many. So what I mean by that is if you build a workflow to go through building a specific part of the car, it then saves that workflow. You don't have to build it ever again, and it's not specifically attached to one person or one piece. So you can use it as many times as you want. Codeless content creation. This was the biggest thing that I liked about this. I might be technical, but I am not technical enough to do coding. So codeless content creation was a massive piece for me. You can easily drag and drop any assets that you have or that frontline.io have already provided, having worked with other customers before, and you can just drag and drop it into your environment, make it how you want.
So you don't need any programming skills to...
Absolutely not whatsoever.
Great.
So it's really, really nice on that part. And then again, like before in Sphere on the bottom left, obviously you can see a few more other industries that you can use frontline.io in, rather than just obviously automotive.
Got it. Thank you.
Oh, lastly, the last piece of software I'll touch on is remote expertise and Simply Video. So Simply Video, if you guys are following our LinkedIn, obviously Magic Leap's LinkedIn, Simply Video's LinkedIn, you would see the big communication around Simply Video is now on Magic Leap. Which is an incredible.
That's a big deal, right?
Yeah, it is massive. So what this allows, obviously, Simply Video is a great piece of technology anyway. And a lot of people, if they've already got Teams and they've integrated Simply Video, they see a nice little Simply Video link if they set up a Teams meeting. So Simply Video essentially will integrate and cross-communicate through devices through collaboration tools like Teams or Google Meet or anything like that anybody uses. And it basically means you can join wherever you are on any device. Now,
looking at your corporate infrastructure, essentially it's going to fit in with whatever communication platform that you're using.
Yeah. And this goes back to, again, Magic Leap wanting to create that device that's ease of use, simple to set up for enterprises, and just kind of pick up, get going, go.
Got it.
The other massive thing with Simply Video being on Magic Leap 2 is that Magic Leap 2 now has the ability to host Teams and have a Teams integration. So previously, obviously on mixed reality devices such as HoloLens, you would have had to have had Dynamics licenses and Teams licenses to be able to join, vice versa. Now, if you're an enterprise, you have Teams licenses, you can join on a Magic Leap into a Teams call without any extra licenses.
Perfect.
The other big thing as well, and this is big for kind of both Simply Video and Magic Leap, is you now have a 3D asset visualization whilst in Teams calls. So now that Magic Leap has Simply Video has unlocked that 3D visualization power to really kind of bring it to life a bit more. Again, like I said before, bottom left, there's a lot of different industries you can use Simply Video in. I've named 6, but the list could have gone on to most verticals and most industries. And yeah, it's one of those new ones that's just come out. So I thought, you know what, we'll throw it in at the end, and it fits quite nicely.
Right, thank you.
Just as some case studies, and I've included the links, otherwise it would have taken ages to go through every single one of them. Magic Leap 2 and Audi. So this actually got announced yesterday. and it was
Oh
quite a
wow.
nice little
Hot off the
surprise to
press,
us.
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
very hot off the
Fantastic.
press.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was a wake up this morning. That was a nice surprise. Manually to an Audi. So what they've actually designed, and it's still in concept, but it has been designed, is a new driver interface. And what you will see if you go and Google it or go and search it is you can now sit in a car. You can put on the Magic Leap and you can see different tire pressures. You can see the angle of where the road's going. You can see your speed, obviously, and everything that you need as a driver. You can now have on a headset. So essentially, if you're doing test drives as a manufacturer in automotive, you can now put on the headset. You can drive the car as you would, but you don't really need to take it anywhere. It is the new interface, new design, very hot off the press. So I still have to do some digging with Magic Leap on that because they never mentioned it.
Huge cost saving and huge carbon footprint
Massively.
saving, right? Yeah, okay,
Massively. And it's also nice for the sales team as well. So not even just in the manufacturing, sales teams can now use this to show off what it would look like to sit in a brand new car. So you don't need cars in the showrooms now. You don't need to spend thousands of pounds having cars in the showrooms.
So you, instead of, because I mean Audi's got potentially hundreds of models,
yeah.
and there's no way you're going to get that in a showroom. But actually, someone can turn up even to a small, let's say, London-based showroom and actually experience models that aren't even there. Is that right?
Yep. You can sit on a chair. You can put on a headset.
Brilliant.
Select a car. Select how you want it to look interior wise.
Yeah.
And there you are. That's the look.
Fab. What's the next one, bud?
Yeah, so Magic Leap 2 and NVIDIA. So this wasn't specifically just one automotive industry and one automotive manufacturer. So a lot of people, obviously, if you know NVIDIA, they do a lot of computer graphics and a lot of CPUs and everything like that. So what they did with NVIDIA was they collaborated to create an advanced digital twin for enterprises. And if you go and look at this story, you'll see the use case they did was a car. Kind of similar to Audi is that you can now have that car in a room, full scale model. Obviously, as it's a digital twin and they've advanced the digital twins to be pretty spot on, it's almost like the car is there in front of you, specifically there. Sometimes you might look at digital twins and you could look at a little piece and go, oh, that's a little bit off, or that doesn't look quite right. This was spot on. It had kind of the ray tracing involved. So the sunlight hit specific parts of the car, and it just looked like the car was there in real time.
Got it.
The bottom one, taking it away from all just Magic Leap, is HoloLens to a Porsche. Again, this recently got announced, I think, at the end of last week. Is now that Porsche in the US are now using Dynamics 365 remote assist to build their cars. So going back to the remote assistance piece with Simply Video, Porsche have taken on the HoloLens 2 to now build those cars specifically. So they can now have people, you might have an expert in, again, we'll take Germany. Obviously, it's Porsche. They can have all their experts in Germany, but if someone in America's got an issue, instead of flying someone from Germany to America, it might take a couple of days to organize. They can just pick up a headset and call them straight away, and they can solve the problem there and then.
Right, and so essentially, what we're saying here is this isn't technology that's unproven. It's in use. It continues to evolve, and anyone who's in this sort of side of manufacturing, automotive, or pretty much any other level of manufacturing can seriously look at this technology to improve their workflow, to save cost, save carbon footprint, and really sort of make a big difference also to the speed that they're getting these products to market. Am I right in saying that, Jamie?
Correct. It's getting to the stage now where it's being proved. It's no longer in trial phase. It is very much we've trialed it. We were the first ones to trial it. Here's what we've done. Here's us actually using it now.
Got it.
So yeah, anybody in the automotive space can now look at this and go, oh, hold on, it's proven. People are using it, and they're not small brands either. They're everyday brands that we see daily on the roads. So yeah,
I think Lamborghini did a complete remote collab on the latest supercar that they just launched. That was remote right from the get-go.
Yeah, so they had a nice little app as well that they built specifically for that car. So you could have a one-to-one scale of that car in your driveway if you wanted to.
Brilliant.
And you could just scan it with the app, hold up your phone or your tablet, and there it was.
Scary how technology's moving on, isn't it? But,
Very.
there we go. Well, thank you, Jamie.
No worries.
It's greatly appreciated, and Jamie really is an expert. And one of the things that we haven't done is actually shown you a headset. And if anyone here on the call or any time in the future wants to actually see a headset in use, then we can arrange a call. Jamie can actually demonstrate everything that he's been talking about. The software that's involved with it, and just book in with us. As I say, my name's Chris Lee. Jamie is very easily contactable from our MPH Group website here in the UK, and we can talk to anyone globally about how to implement this particular mixed reality headset and the ideas that we've got on how you can implement it with your business. So thank you very much again, Jamie. It is greatly appreciated. And what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to away from mixed reality into assisted reality, which is an equally important part of the workflow for so many organizations within automotive. And Precious has been involved in this technology for a considerable amount of time now, and he's also a real expert when it comes to implementing the correct software, which is just as important as the hardware on this side of things. So, Precious, if you're able to just sort of explain briefly. I mean, we've probably got sort of 20 minutes left of the call, so it's going to be a sort of brief introduction on how we can implement this technology, work with you on how it's integrated as far as the software platform that we potentially could suggest to you, or your existing software infrastructure, which is very often a key part of implementation of these products. But Precious, just if you're able to give us some ideas, that'd be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everyone. So I'll kind of run through my deck fairly quickly. Compared to Jamie's technology, the assisted reality side of things tends to be a lot more simple in its outset. So I'll share my screen quickly. Please let me know if you can see that, everyone.
Yes, I can see that very clearly, Precious. Thank you.
Perfect. So we're going to be looking at assisted reality, as Chris mentioned, and just to give you a brief intro on that sector, because you hear words like mixed reality, VR, augmented reality thrown around a lot. But what assisted reality is it's a branch of that technology space that gives users access to relevant information in their immediate field of view. So it doesn't incorporate as much of the sort of advanced technological features in the immersive space. So this is usually a 2D interface between the user and the device. So it's much the same as using a mobile phone or a tablet or a laptop. The only difference is the form factor for the devices that are being used. So what happens is you just get a projection, you're looking at a screen, but the difference is you've got your hands free and you're able to work alongside referencing these assets.
So essentially, Precious, I mean, if you're thinking in very simple terms, but if you've ever been tempted, or your business has ever been tempted to pull out a mobile phone and utilize it within a given workflow, be that looking at PDFs or taking video or whatever it may be, this technology just enables you to do that in a significantly better way, a significantly safer way, and a hands-free way. Am I right in saying that?
Exactly. And we'll run through some of the key features of the hardware in this regard. But the solution itself is a combination of the hardware, which we'll go through in a little bit, and the software. So that those two things come together to give you a full solution for how assisted reality can really help improve some of the processes that are faced with organizations.
Right.
And so here are some options of some assisted reality devices. There's the really popular RealWear navigators. So the 520 is RealWear's latest flagship device, which they've got in the market. It's got a really large display, high quality video, and it's a device that allows you to use it hands-free. You've got some other options here, like the Mozzie Wear Simo, which I like to call a younger brother of the RealWear device, because it gives you the same level of functionality and the same level of versatility in terms of how that hardware is being used. You've also got another option like the Vuzix M400, for example. Again, it's a rugged device that allows you to sort of use these devices in a way that allows your hands to be free while you're working. And then you've got another sort of option here, which is the Blade 2, which is a really popular option just because of that form factor. It's a very familiar looking design. It's very lightweight, sits on your head. It just looks like you're wearing a pair of glasses. And it's a really powerful device that allows you, again, to maximize how your technicians work in the field.
So it's a lot less intimidating for the individual wearing it and also anyone that's looking at it, right?
Exactly. So one of the things you want to avoid is looking like an alien while you're trying to do your day-to-day jobs in the field. And so
just on that, sorry, Precious, sorry to interrupt, but and this is not something that we really need to dig into right now, and contact us after the webinar, but you kind of get what you pay for as far as video resolution is concerned, things like battery life, that sort of thing. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, but on a basic spec level, all of these devices, for example, will give you sort of depending on what you're doing on them, you tend to get a full shift out of these batteries. All of them except for maybe the Vuzix Blade 2. That gives you about 2 to 3 hours, just because of the form factor and the size of the physical battery in the device. But beyond that, there are ways to sort of extend these and get a full shift out of them, which is what they're designed to provide. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Cool. So I've given you some hardware solutions there. You have some software options as well, which again complements the hardware because you want to get a full solution with these things. So a lot of you will be familiar with Microsoft Teams, which you can deploy on each one of these devices. It's usually how companies like starting with this, especially because it's an embryonic space. And so people want to start with what they're familiar with. So you're able to use it with Teams. Jamie mentioned Simply Video, which is the other option here. It's also it's also a software you're able to use in assisted reality spaces. And it's a really key software for remote assistance. And what it does, as Jamie mentioned earlier, is you're able to integrate this with your existing Microsoft Teams environment, not just Teams. If you're using something like Zoom, for example, you're still able to integrate Simply Video within that environment. So you get best of both worlds. And then you've got TeamViewer, which is another really strong option as a software solution in this space, because what it does is it gives you a full suite of solutions. So that can go from anything to do with digital workflows, remote assistance, document navigation. It provides solution for literally any use case you can dream of. So it's one of the key software solutions we try to approach customers with, because it tends to have something that fixes or addresses a very large variety of problems.
And IT guys can get a little bit they can be a little bit apprehensive about sort of implementing something like, let's say, TeamViewer into their existing infrastructure, but it's actually remarkably easy to do and safe to do that. Am I right in saying that, Precious?
Yeah, I think a lot of the problem with IT and adoption in this space, it's just because it's new. It's usually this because it's a new piece of software, it's a new piece of technology. People are usually apprehensive to get these rolling, but we're seeing a very quick change in that because more and more companies are starting to use these. So TeamViewer, for example, is a really well-known brand and is a strong brand name in this space, and so the adoption for that is going up fairly quickly as well.
Got it.
So some general features, I know we dove in immediately and started looking at the hardware and the software solutions. And what we need to realize is the reason why the assisted reality space is a space is because it caters to the 80% of frontline workers that you have out there in the field. So there's a stat that says most employees are sort of 20% of all employees are sitting behind desks usually, or some form of computer screen. And so the majority, so 80% of the actual workforce are usually deskless. So they're frontline users. And what the assisted reality space is designed to do is actually bring some of that technology onto our colleagues in the field and make their lives a lot easier, just catch them up with the times. And so one of the key things is for them to be able to work with their hands while using the technology that we're so comfortable with and used to. So one of the features, so I'll list some features here for what to consider when you're looking at assisted reality sort of hardware. So you've got voice-enabled control, which is a really, really key feature, because what it allows you to do is interact with the device using your voice while you have your hands free. So it gives you a very easy way of computing, which is what we like to say. So using your voice, you'll be able to control the device, click on items, and so on.
So you could be using your hands elsewhere. I mean, if you're in a busy garage environment, for example, then you don't need to be touching your headset with hands that potentially have got oil and grease and that sort of thing on. You can actually just use your voice to control the device. Yeah.
Exactly. But also, so you've got a very good example there, but another example could be in the healthcare sector, where you could have surgeons, for example, uh, carrying out surgery, and you don't want to have them having to stop doing what they're doing and messing around with the device. So having that ability to be able to control it with your voice is really key here. So it's a really simple solution that works across industries. And as you can see, it leads very seamlessly into a hands-free operation, which is what we've kind of expanded on. Because you can use the voice controls, you're able to work with your hands while using the devices at the same time. You want to look for something that's rugged, that's built rugged as well, because again, a lot of the frontline users are in really harsh environments, really harsh conditions. And so you want it to be able to survive the everyday use of being thrown around in the back of vans or wherever these devices will be stored. So you want something that's rugged and something that's also compatible with pretty much all forms of PPE, which is another key aspect of this, because again, the profile you have to keep in mind is for the frontline users. So these are users who will be usually out customer facing or working directly with machinery, doing things with their hands. You want to be able to make sure whatever technology you're handing to them works with the safety materials that they have to work with on a day-to-day basis. So things like helmets, visors, gloves, and so on. So most of these devices in this space should have that capability to work with PPE. You've also got water resistance and also outdoor display. And those are really important because they're working outside, they're working in front lines. You want to be able to use the technology regardless of what the environmental conditions are. So, for example, being able to use this in the rain. I can imagine it would be very difficult having to reference a technical guide on your phone or a laptop or any kind of tablet while it's raining. But with these devices, you're able to use them in the rain without any trouble, and it doesn't really affect how they work. They've still got their hands free, and they're able to use that outdoors as well.
So if you're using it at a car dealership and you're using it for when a customer wants to trade a car in, for example, simple thing like taking a video of the car, bringing up the price of what you could potentially offer the customer for the car. If that's in the pouring rain, it won't affect it, right?
Exactly. So you can carry out your job literally wherever. Same thing goes for an outdoor display. Again, if you're in bright sunlight, you want something that'll be able to adjust to that without you having to strain your eyes, which is where this comes in. And so far, the theme here you'll notice is giving very practical environments where people need to work. You need technology that's equally as practical in how it operates and how it works.
So
Now,
I'm starting to get the picture here, Precious, that Jamie was very much talking about essentially an office-based environment, global remote collaboration, that sort of thing. Here we can still have global collaboration, but it's very much at the working face of any particular business, where you've got lots of grease, machinery, cars, whatever sort of around.
Exactly. This is the role of assisted reality. It's literally bridging the gap between our colleagues who are in the offices and our colleagues
Yeah,
working on the front line. So it's a bridging
got it.
tool. And so looking at some of the software considerations and some of the things to look out for when you're considering a software solution in this space, you want something that's going to be device agnostic. And so what that means is if you have any piece of software, the one of the key features that you need to make sure it has is it can work on any other device. It doesn't need to have a particular device because then you're not boxed in to a specific type of problem or solution. And most of the really good softwares that you'll find have that capability. So it's one of the key things to look out for. So Simply Video, for example, will work across all of those devices mentioned. It works on mobile phones, on tablets, iOS devices. Same goes for TeamViewer, and same goes for Teams, as most of you well know. There's some other software solutions out there, but we're trying to sort of keep this focus. So I tend to sort of approach customers with those three in mind because they usually cater to pretty much every solution you might dream up. And another key feature is as a web-based solution. So you want something that doesn't necessarily need a bespoke app for it to operate. So again, this goes the same for Microsoft Teams, Simply Video, TeamViewer. You're able to use them on a web-based dashboard, and so a lot of your admin for these applications is able to be done anywhere on any device, and it's very easy and simple to use. You also need something that has low bandwidth capability, again, depending on the use case and depending on the business who's looking to implement this technology. But generally speaking, you want to get something that's able to perform in low bandwidth environments as well as just regular connectivity as well. And then you've got, for specific solutions, for example, you want to have live annotations as something to look out for if you're dealing with remote assist software. So for example, Microsoft Teams, it's a good software to sort of an entry level software to use for remote support, but it's not going to give you that live annotation, which is why people usually very quickly move away from Teams and start going into something like a Simply Video or a TeamViewer because it'll give you more robust tools for your remote assistance solutions.
More bespoke, better able to integrate with the organization. And just on the low bandwidth, just for people like me, for example, we're talking about sort of a fully sort of bad internet connection, whether that would be 4G or
Exactly.
sort of garage, crowded garage environment, that sort of thing. Am I right in saying that, Precious?
Exactly. So low bandwidth is basically looking at your connectivity and what the quality of that connectivity is like. So Wi-Fi connectivity, for example, low bandwidth just means it's not as stable, or it's very little, or it's on a very low frequency or spectrum. So for example, if you want to get really technical, you're looking at something like 100 gigabits, for example. That'll be something that's considered really low. Compared to say 3,000 kilobits, which would be fairly high. So you want something that operates well enough in those low bandwidth conditions. You've also got customized workflows. Again, this will depend on the software solution you're buying into and the use case you're buying it for. So live annotations we mentioned that for remote assistance. Customized workflows would be for a digital workflow solution. And it's a good idea to make sure whatever solution you're buying into, you're able to customize those workflows because you want to make sure those workflows are as fluid as your processes are internally. You don't want to have something where it takes very, very long to make any adjustments to, or it's complicated to make adjustments to. So one of the ones we use all the time is TeamViewer X-Inspect, for example. It's a very easy to use. It's a zero code platform. So as Jamie was mentioning with one of the softwares he was looking at earlier, this is all zero code for TeamViewer. You don't have to have any kind of coding background to be able to build these workflows. And literally you can build workflows for anything across any industry. I'm a living testimony to that. Prior to coming into this industry, which was about a year ago, I wouldn't have known what assisted reality was or any of these terms, but I can create workflows. I've had loads of experiences making workflows for all sorts of companies, for all sorts of users, and it's something you pick up fairly quickly, which is really, really good. And also, lastly, something to consider for the softwares would be the ability to work offline. Depending on the use case again and the environment they're in. So if we're looking at oil and gas, for example, if we're looking at people who work down in mines or people who work in dams, just areas where there's typically going to be low connectivity, you want the ability to be able to work offline.
Yeah, even in automotive. I mean, let's take a really simple use case where someone's going off site to assess someone's vehicle again to do evaluation, or maybe you're an assessor and you're looking at crash damage or whatever it might be, and you don't have any sort of internet coverage. You can still work offline, take that video, and then upload it when you do have coverage. Am I right in saying that, Precious?
Exactly. I mean, you just mentioned a typical use case would be if we look at a company like AA, for example, they get call outs to go to assess a breakdown in the middle of nowhere. As an individual working with that company, you might have your normal cellular connectivity, but you don't know where you're going to end up. You don't know if there's coverage in that area. So you don't know what your connectivity is going to be like. And so you want the ability to be able to have some type of offline backup for the jobs that you want to do. So that's a really good point, Chris. So that goes across again pretty much any industry, particularly in the automotive as well. And so just zeroing in on some of the use cases that we've got, there are usually three main use cases. Pretty much any problem you can dream up will fit into one of these three. There's some other ones, but those are fairly niche. But looking at the first instance, so if we're looking at remote assistance, which is the biggest use case out there. It's just a way, like we mentioned earlier, to connect your experts to your field technicians or to your field engineers or to your operatives working directly with end users or customers. It's just a way to bridge the gap between those two. And so you're doing it using two-way video capabilities and video experiences. And what that means is the technician in the field is able to show the remote expert exactly what they're looking at, exactly what problem they're trying to fix, exactly what the environment is that they're working in, just so you can relay information back and forth both ways. And remote assistance allows that flow of information to happen. And as you can imagine, there are a bunch of scenarios where this could be useful. So for example, during tests and inspections, it could be during maintenance and repairs, it could be for manufacturing and assembly. There are all sorts of reasons where you might need to call a support team, for example, or just a colleague who is more experienced or who might have answers that you don't have access to. So all of these scenarios are relevant when it comes to being able to have that remote support while you're in communication. And some of the benefits that we've looked at, and again, there are loads of case studies that have been done with companies. If you need any more of these, just reach out. I'm able to send these out to whoever wants to have a look at these. And they've been done by all sorts of companies. You've got Ford, Bentley, all sorts of companies in this automotive space specifically who have run these use cases and got real return on investment.
And just a simple, coming back to your point about a company like, let's say, the AA, for example, you could have a dedicated VAG expert, you could have a dedicated Ford expert, for example, sat in the control center, and that individual can be dialed into anyone in the field in the UK to assess a particular issue that engineer is having. So it's a really great resource for so many reasons.
Exactly. And some of the benefits, I've just listed some of them there. So you've got reduction in errors, reduction in downtime, training costs, travel time. You increase safety, uptime, expert utilization. So you're using your experts a lot more because you can have one expert basically triaging and helping 5 different field technicians at one time. And it helps with knowledge transfer as well, which is a really key point in all of this. One of the other use cases is document navigation. All that means is it just allows field technicians to be able to reference technical guides, manuals, other critical documents in PDF or image formats. So without them having to log these things along with them to site, they can just have all of that information right there when they want it. And the key part to remember in all of this is they're able to do this without the use of their hands because they're using their hands for the actual job. So being able to reference this information really quickly is really key. So again, some of the benefits in this area will look like task completion time. So there's a decrease in task completion time, how quickly it takes them to get through a task. It reduces the need for experts. So your technicians are fully enabled to reference whatever it is they need for their job with full confidence they're using the right information without needing to call someone back at the office. And that feeds back, because then that expert is then able to support others who maybe got more complicated issues to deal with. And so you're maximizing the value of your experts internally.
Precious, thank you. And I'm going to apologise. I'm going to have to stop you there. We're kind of running out of time. And as you can see, this, we've only just touched the surface here of what this technology can offer. And you can hopefully also see the level of expertise that Precious and Jamie and the whole of this organisation have got in making sure that we're implementing the correct technology for your business. We're completely hardware and software agnostic here. We just want to make sure you've got the right solution. So I'd very much like to thank you for your time during this webinar. And I would encourage you to just reach out to us. We can set up a 30-minute hour Teams call to look at the use case that you've got, and then start to build the correct workflow for you. So as I say, I'd just like to thank everyone. I'd like to thank you, Precious, and also Jamie. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.
And as I say, my name is Chris Lee. We've got Jamie Clapham and we've got Precious John on the call. Reach out to any of us, and we'd be delighted to help you. And we'll hopefully see you on the next webinar that we do here at the MPH Group in the UK. So thank you again, and we'll hopefully see you soon.
Thanks, both. Bye.